Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back, I'm not going anywhere. Peace. Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available in 2022. I promise. The album, maybe. Dad AF. Rock on, gorgeous woman. Peace. All right, let's get into this video. I have 2 lip glosses today because I need both of them. Let me just tell you, I did y'all a favor, okay? And I watched Shane Dawson's, Shane Dawson's 43-minute cringe fest so that you guys don't have to. I'm gonna break it down for you in less than 5 minutes. And then we're going to talk about some drama associated with Shane Dawson in the last 24 hours. And then I want to talk about the backlash that Shane Dawson is receiving for posting a video, which I was rather surprised about. And so, yeah, and I also went back and did my research and watched his Taking Accountability video because as I was watching his new video, there's this attitude that Shane Dawson has now, kind of, in his videos that he shouldn't have been canceled. And so I wanted to go back, and also he said a few things in this new video, and I was like, I want to remind myself, like, of what he actually said in that Taking Accountability video, because people often ask me, they'll say, what do you want from him? He already took accountability. So I went back and I watched the video where basically he says I'm sorry a lot, and then he excuses it away by talking about how all the bad things that's happened to him in his life. So that's kind of the accountability video. And then also he says in there, like, he should definitely maybe be canceled and lose his career for that, and he totally understands if he should. And that, you know, his apology is for you to take, not for him to decide when that happens. And that if you don't accept his apology, he totally understands that if you don't want to watch him anymore. So to then make jokes about his cancellation in his current videos very much translates to me that he really didn't mean what he said a year ago in that video or 2 years ago or whatever, and that he didn't really understand anything. So let's get into this video. Shane and Ryland are back in California. Who'd care? Okay, but no, they are. And they're walking around their house, and the video is basically a vlog, okay? The first 5 minutes of it is an ad for his next video, which is a conspiracy video, which actually does look very, very interesting. And I wouldn't say that this video is horrible if I didn't think it was horrible. Shane Dawson himself said it's horrible. 2 days ago, he put on his community tab, what day do you think I should post my video? Warning, it's very stupid. And it is stupid. It's just a vlog. It's boring. It's not really that exciting whatsoever. And he even kind of like puts this old part of an old conspiracy video in it, but I'll get to that in just a second. So he puts this ad, 4 to 5 minutes of the video is this ad for the conspiracy video that's coming up, which does look interesting. And then he and Ryland are just walking around the house. He's like, ideas, I've got all these ideas, right? And he's like, I've got the greatest idea. I'm going to start a podcast. Now, what's interesting about the idea that he's going to start a podcast is that if you go to his Taking Accountability video, he blames the majority of all of the things that have happened in his past on that podcast, okay? And that people have taken things out of context and edited them, and that podcast is a source of a lot of trouble for him in his life, and that he's happy that the podcast is over. So for a year later, after his accountability video, to say that he's so glad that the podcast is over, to come back out again and say he's going to start another podcast where he's interviewing, I'm like, have you learned anything? And then he says something in the video about how he's learned to not be offensive anymore and all this kind of stuff. And yet he's sitting in this beanbag talking about his podcast, and he's talking to Chris, and he says something to Chris about, but you're Mexican, right? Or something like that. And then it flashes over to like this bear with a sombrero on it. Yet again, like this stereotyping. And I'm like, Shane, do you not get it? And okay, whoever filmed it, whatever, right? But you're the one that talks about your high intense editing, right? Don't you think as somebody that has been called out for racism and that you addressed racism and said there was nothing right about it, that any kind of close stereotyping whatsoever that you would be careful of? Like, I just don't understand it, okay? So then he goes in and he and Ryland talk about getting married. Ryland brings it up about they haven't gotten married, and Shane makes a bunch of excuses, and they say they haven't gotten past the guest list or something like that. And then Shane makes some joke and says, the reason we haven't gotten married is because what if I can't fit into my suit and I don't like things like that? Don't have a wedding then. Go down to the Justice of the Peace. It is so cringy to watch this scene because you can tell that Ryland really wants to get married and like Shane's putting it off. It's like these are like moments that you should edit out of videos because it's very uncomfortable to watch. It's like, what's really going on here? On the heels of Shane talking about a dream that he had, that Ryland had a vagina. So that's a big part of the conversation. It's very cringy conversation again, and it's Shane Dawson at 32 years old being like 16-year-old humor, and it's not funny, and I don't feel like he's learned anything, and I feel like it's just a matter of, because this is the thing, he doesn't even know how to edit out his own humor because he doesn't see anything wrong with it, so it's just a matter of time before he like does it again and is canceled again because he doesn't really think there's anything wrong with his sense of humor, and you can totally tell by watching this video. So then it goes into him talking about this lawsuit that he had with Chuck E. Cheese, allegedly, and that it was the video, if you guys remember this, a conspiracy video that he did. I actually liked these videos that he did, of the Chuck E. Cheese, where he said that the pizza, he had heard that the pizza wasn't like all made together, that they like took extra pieces that had been left behind and made a pizza together. Remember that conspiracy video that he did? Well, apparently it was the source of a huge lawsuit, okay? So he goes and he gets in his car because he wants to show everybody he's so edgy and risky. He orders a pizza. He wanted to go in Chuck E. Cheese, but he didn't do that. They order a pizza, they bring it out to the car, and then they like look at the pizza in the car, and that's basically the video, okay? And he makes several jokes throughout the video about being canceled, and it's been long enough, and all this kind of stuff, and that's the video for you. It's boring. That's it. It's boring. It's basically an ad for the conspiracy video that he hasn't finished editing yet, so he wanted to put something up instead, right? Now, I want to tell you what I thought was interesting about this, okay? Is when you go to the video, all right, and you go over here and you look at the comments on the video, which is called The Lawsuit of Shane Dawson, hold on a second, and you go to the comments, and you go, the new ones, the top ones, whatever, they're glowing. So let's just go to the newest ones, okay? Somebody said, when I received the notification, I thought it was a mistake. Now I have watched this video twice in a row. I'm so happy you're back, Queen. I missed you. Somebody said, oh, okay, wait. Shane, I miss you so much. I love you. Thank you for posting. It goes on and on and on. They're glowing comments, okay? Which it's typically the case on Shane Dawson's videos. And I don't know if it's that people that don't like Shane anymore have just stopped watching him, so you never see a negative comment over there, but they're literally like almost 100% positive comments. Well, what's interesting about this is that I was actually searching for something that Shane Dawson posted on his Instagram story last night. So I was looking kind of like for the history of it. And what that is that one of the things that Shane Dawson got called out for back in the day was that in his podcast that he learned so much from and was glad that it ended, which is why he wants to start another podcast. I don't know. If you go watch the account, it's not just me. Go watch the accountability video, okay? He says it in the video. I literally just sat here and watched it. He says the podcast was the source of so much trouble or something like that, and he's glad that it's over, okay? And now he's starting another podcast. This is how much the man that you believe so much in has changed, right? That he's taking back his own words and stumbling over them. So in the video, he addresses how in a podcast that he did, right, that was edited and changed around to be made to look a certain way, that he made comments about a younger person who was, people alleged that it was the child of Travis Barker and Shanna Moakler, okay? And this was a huge controversy because he had also, done this with Will Smith's daughter and things like that, and this was like a huge issue. Do you remember this? And then the Smith family came out against Shane Dawson, and Shanna Moakler also came out against Shane Dawson and made a public statement, I believe on Instagram, okay, calling Shane Dawson words nobody wants to be called, okay? And if you don't believe me, you can just Google search it. I'm not including it in this video, okay? But Shanna Moakler came out and said thank you for, she doesn't say Shane's name, okay, but everybody at the time knew what he was talking about. And it's in videos, it's in drama videos, it's in whatever, and says thank you for bringing this to my attention, and we are dealing with it. I don't know how they addressed it. I don't know if it was ever addressed, whatever, okay? And she never says Shane's name, and Shane never said the name of who it was, but people alleged that. Shane says in the Taking Accountability video that the podcast was highly edited to make him sound like he was saying something a certain way, but at the end of the day, it was him talking about those things, and he shouldn't have been talking about those things anyway, so he takes accountability for it, right? I watched this accountability video. I did not hear him apologize to the Smith family. I did not hear him apologize to Shanna Moakler. I did not hear him apologize to Travis Barker. I didn't hear him apologize to a lot of people, okay? And it's interesting watching this video a year later, after all the videos that I've made knowing what I know, right? So it was interesting to me then when I saw on his Instagram story, and I started getting sent this by quite a few people, honestly, that Shane Dawson posted on his Instagram story last night in regards to Shanna Moakler being evicted from the Celebrity Big Brother house. Right here is what he posted. "You are too good for that house, Shanna Moakler, for America's favorite player, Big Brother CBS." Is there some apology that occurred that I'm not aware of? Because if you go check the history of all this, the last thing that I saw was Shanna Moakler on this video saying things allegedly about Shane Dawson. Shane Dawson also follows Shanna Moakler. So I thought this whole thing was very, very interesting, as did quite a few other people, because they sent it to me, right? Okay, so there's that. But as I was searching this, what I found on Twitter was really, really interesting, okay? So if you search Shane Dawson on Twitter right now, okay? And you go up here and you look at the latest tweets, all right? I'm just going to read them straight down, okay? Raise your hand if you legitimately forgot you were still subbed to Shane Dawson's YouTube channel when the notification dinged. Hold on a second. Somebody put, this is a response to a tweet. Hold on, let's see what they said. Oh, they're all talking about Shane Dawson. It's all laughing emojis. Shane Dawson must be very happy that dislikes became hidden on YouTube while he was away. Hold on. Somebody said, so apparently Shane Dawson has completely new cameraman and Andrew really dumped him. LMAO, good for him. You know, I think it's interesting that he's never actually addressed that. You know, it's like nobody has, but you know, at this point, and this is the thing, and people are like, well, why should they? Well, they made a lot of money. I think this is the thing that people forget, right? Like, while Shane Dawson was making all of those videos in the past and blackface and racism, and he's doing all these videos that he says his humor was not appropriate at the time, he still made money off of that. That ranch he's living out there, that house in Colorado, you know, all of that inappropriate humor, that paid for those houses out there, okay? You know, his friendship with Andrew and all of that kind of stuff, like his friendship with Garrett and Andrew being his cameraman and all that kind of stuff, that paid for those houses. That paid for all of that, right? Paid for that big pickup truck that he's showing off in his video. So do I think that he owes it to his audience to talk about what happened with that friendship? Yeah, I do, a little bit. You know, you brought him along. People were invested in them. Don't you want to know what happened? Are you telling me you wouldn't be upset if your favorite show just ended mid-season and you didn't get to find out what happened? And then it just picked up down the road and you missed 4 episodes and you're like, wait a second. What happened with all of these characters that are no longer involved? Y'all would go crazy. You would go crazy. If you're watching Euphoria right now, and let's just say if all of a sudden you started watching the next episode and it came out 6 months from now, and all of a sudden Jules and Nate and Maddie are no longer in it anymore, and you're like, what happened? And they never address it, and they never say their names, and they never even act like they were part of the show. You're telling me you wouldn't have an issue with that? The hell you wouldn't, okay? And so would I. And yeah, I do think that he owes it to his audience to talk about that stuff, instead of sitting in a video and acting like what a burden it was that he was canceled. This is what I'm talking about, the egomania and the arrogance of Shane Dawson that is unbelievable to me. But let's read a few more of these tweets. Let's just go down and read them. Is Shane Dawson's new video, he said, we don't have a guest list for our wedding because everyone left us. I mean, whose fault is that, Shane? Somebody else said, the way Shane Dawson so obviously told his new cameraman to laugh like Andrew, I thought that was interesting as well. Why is Shane Dawson back on YouTube? Be on the lookout for Shane Dawson's new hit single. Okay, I'm not going to read that. Somebody said, patiently waiting for the drama channels to summarize the latest Shane Dawson video. Here you go, Jane Doe. Okay, I had to stop this because I was reading some of them and they just were not that nice. Since Shane Dawson just uploaded, I can't wait for other people to watch that video so I can know what it's about because I don't want to do it myself. White people really just welcomed Shane Dawson, the racist, back with open arms. Interesting. I forgot I was still subscribed to Shane Dawson. Who let Shane Dawson come back? Things I won't be doing today. Watching a new Shane Dawson video. And it goes on and on and on. You guys, people are not happy with this. And so that's interesting to me that you see a difference between the comments on Shane Dawson's own video and you see the thread on Twitter of what people are talking about with Shane Dawson. Very interesting, I think. So anyway, let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below. Are you excited for Shane Dawson to be back? Are you not? Could you care less? Are you unsubscribed? Let me know in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.